Okay, so three things. As I mentioned before, healthy body. I'm gonna move on to the next on the list, healthy mind. Okay, this is again like keeping the temple clean and well put together. Um, your mind has to also be clean and well put together. So what that means is like healthy thought patterns, healthy communication skills. If you approach a woman and she doesn't necessarily want to talk to you, she has every right to feel that way, and you have no right to get upset or get all butthurt and angry about that. Okay, that's the sign of a weak little boy. Okay, that's not you. That's a very bad negative trait that most guys possess, because guys that they're insecure like that. You know what I mean? And if you're just starting out and you're not used to rejection, I understand that's like an innate built-in mechanism. The theory goes that like our ancestors, if you are a man and you approach an attractive woman, odds are that there's some stronger man, some alpha male, somewhere nearby that has been fucking that female, okay? And you stepping up and talking to this girl is going to make that alpha male potentially very angry and upset and try to fight you. So it could potentially be a life or death situation back in the day, okay? Now, we're not that far out of the jungle, okay? So when we experience that anxiety, that fear, whenever we're thinking about, oh, there's a girl I want to go talk to, but if you sit around and if you debate it in your mind, your brain's going to come up with more reasons why you shouldn't do it. Okay, that goes into the 3-second rule. I first learned about that in the seduction community, but it's actually a very real psychological trick. Just Google it, 3-second rule. Essentially, it's describing what I just described. Your brain can be your own worst enemy, and it can fill your mind with anxiety and negative thoughts if you don't know how to steer it. So again, healthy mind, okay, healthy mind. You have to understand how your mind works and train it with healthy habits, okay? That's the key to success with not only this and a lot of other things in life too, okay? And don't get me wrong, I'm still learning. I'm no master at any of this or anything. I just know the basics. I know the fundamentals, and these principles have really brought, in many ways, success and happiness to my life that I would not have ever learned to be or to do or to act or behave a certain way, because I was never taught any of this. I had to go out and seek this information on my own. I never had a strong older male show me the way, okay, like our hunter-gatherer ancestors, and other cultures tend to have for the next generation of men. The men teach the boys. Again, a part of our society that is severely lacking is a kind of male initiation into manhood, okay? So I'm here to help and kind of do what I can, because I've had to learn a lot in my life to find success. And now I haven't like studied up this stuff or read about this kind of stuff in a long time, just because I'm satisfied with my skills as far as that aspect of my life goes. If I want to go out and meet a person, I know where to go and I know what to do at this point. It doesn't mean I don't feel anxiety when I see one. Those things are built into us as human beings. It's just you have to learn how to interpret those emotions and realize what they're trying to tell you. Your emotions communicate things to you about your life and your situation, your surroundings. So this all ties together. I'm getting kind of deep in some of these topics, but I'm going to try and keep it more surface level, keep it brief, and I can go deeper into the different videos as we continue. So I'll try and come to a conclusion here. Oh, I did want to mention healthy body as well. You should be hitting the gym once a week. It's healthy for a man to hit the gym. It's healthy for a woman too. For me, I have to if I don't go to the gym, I feel off. Like my mind, honestly, it keeps the depression at bay, the depressive thoughts. It keeps the dark thoughts at bay. All those endorphins get released whenever you use your body. Our bodies are meant to be used. I mean, we come from the trees, right? We're climbing around. That's where we come from, man. Our bodies are meant to be used. We're meant to run. I wake up and I ride the bike, the stationary. You know what I mean? A real bike would be better, but I have a stationary in my apartment that I like to use in the morning. So good diet. Consider intermittent fasting. Go to the gym. Try once a week minimum. Ideally, 3 times is okay. 5 if you want to go crazy. Just be smart about it and research what you want to do. And there are good programs out there. I would recommend like 5x5, strong lifts, that kind of thing. If you just Google those, they'll come up with some good workout routines for beginners, or even if you're not a beginner. So yeah, moving on. For the third thing I'd like to cover in this video, healthy sense of self. Okay, that's really a big issue in today's society, I think, in my opinion, because people are taught either to be too little whenever they should be taught to be bigger, or they're taught that they're too big whenever they're really kind of quite small. And what do I mean by that? I mean that there's actually, I forget what it's called, but it's like those who are most competent tend to be the like least showboat-ish of that competency, and those that are most incompetent act as if they are more competent than they truly are. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like opposites. So if you're really skilled at something, if you have a particular knack for it, you tend to be more, insecure about it, or unsure of yourself. I'll put it that way. Whereas people who aren't as good develop a cockiness that's unwarranted. There is an actual effect. I should have looked that up. I'll follow up on that in a following video. But there is truth to that, and healthy sense of self. I think it's because our society. I think it's because the electronics. I don't know. Just compare the different generations. I would say that the baby boomers have a pretty keen sense of self. Okay, they're very aware of getting theirs. I'll put it that way. Then you have the next generation, kind of like I don't know. It just seems like less and less, the more technology is becoming more convenient and interconnected with everyone, we tend to be getting seemingly feeling smaller and smaller as our world gets fits more and more in our pocket. Okay, I know, using my own upbringing as an example, I was not given a very healthy sense of self-worth, and it held me back in life in so many ways, and with so many opportunities for relationships growing up, especially as a kid. I was just very I grew up in a very how can I put it, controlling religious household. I'll just leave it at that. And that definitely had negative long-term scarring effects on my mental health, I would say that. And I mean, if you're into religion, I'm not trying to say to get out of religion, because there's a healthy way to do it too, and there's an unhealthy way to do it. Okay, and I believe I consider my upbringing more on the the shade of like the negative side of that, the kind of cold, indifferent, tyrannical aspect of such an upbringing, as opposed to the actual like teachings of Jesus or whatever deity you happen to worship, or whatever book you happen to read and preach. There's a right and a wrong way to do things, and there's a good and a bad way, a warm way and a cold way, a loving way and an indifferent way. And I grew up more with the indifferent kind of way in many ways. That's not to say that my childhood didn't have its positive aspects too, but I would say that the negatives far outweigh the positives, unfortunately. And this pushed me into like studying psychology and all kinds of like studying Freud and studying Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell and Edward Bernays and all these things, because I looked at myself and I was having a hard time. I could attract these cute girls, these beautiful women, but I would have a hard time keeping them around. I think that I wasn't satisfying a certain aspect of what they wanted of me. You know what I mean? And it took me a while to learn that, and I had many frustrating years. I was just like too nice of a guy, and I was too safe. You know what I mean? And I was very sheltered growing up, and I was not very, I think my mom was very insecure about sexuality, and that translated into how she raised us and how she raised me. And so I knew that something was off about me, and especially because I kept having these girls come to me, or hearing about girls, and my friends would tell me, hey, that girl, she was talking about you, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, I could essentially get to know them a little bit better, but there's so many moments, so many instances where I did something that just pushed them away, and I started to look inward, and after many years of suffering and depression and not feeling very good about myself, I was like, what is going on here? What am I doing wrong, And I had, like I said in a previous video, I did not have any, the men in my family never spoke to me about such things or anything like that. And, like they ought to have, but they never did. Like if you have kids, you should be, the responsible parent and tell your kids, hey, this is an actual huge aspect of life, and you should know about it, instead of clumsily, sloppily figuring out about it, recklessly.